and I will hand over to, and I think I will pin you. Elle, where did you go? I'm going to pin you so that everybody can see you. We need, you need to unmute.
I
Yeah.
did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So happy to be here. Um, as Rabbi Silver said, I am a social worker and I work with the Alzheimer's Association. I've been working in this space for over 20 years, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So today if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to have like an open mic Alzheimer's session, or we could do that at another time. But what I'm actually here to talk about today is some good news in the brain health space. And when Rabbi Silver and I were talking about it, the element of it that I think is actually really, really Jewish, in that this good news has to be done or should be done in community. So that's what I'm going to mainly be talking about. I'm going to put in the link in the chat, information about what the Alzheimer's Association does. If you have questions about our free education and support programs, you are more than welcome to check those out at your own leisure or reach out to me at any point, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about the pointer study. Has anyone heard about the pointer study? No? Okay. Well, you're going to be hearing a lot more about it, not just from the Alzheimer's Association, but really from all avenues of good health. This is a study that the Alzheimer's Association funded, and where they took for 2 years at-risk inactive seniors, and they had them participate in daily cognitive socialization, daily cognitive stimulation, daily social stimulation, exercise, and a healthy diet. And at the end of 2 years, their cognitive level was the same as someone 2 years their junior. So this is huge news, because this is the beginning. And first of all, this validates everything we've been saying up to now, with the association's been saying, with the Heart Association saying, what the liver, like all the health fields have been saying for years. You need to exercise, you need to have a healthy diet, you need to you need to stimulate your mind, all those things. Now we have science to back this information. And what it does is, really, this is the first tool in preventative medicine so that we can take control of our brains. And I followed it up with one of the neurologists that I work with at Cedars, who said, first he equated this news to what we got about not smoking in the 50s and 60s and how it radically changed vascular disease. But now, moving forward, as we elevate this research and as we really get people engaged in daily, doing all the daily things, it could potentially reduce the risk of dementia by 45%. Not tomorrow, not next year, but in the years to come, as we age healthier in place, these are going to be the tools that we need. And this study, it was done in Europe. I recently heard NPR was replicated in Canada. So variations of this study are happening. And moving forward, you're going to hear so much about brain health, brain health, brain health, body health. Brain health is body health, because our brain ultimately tells our body what it needs to do. So if our brain is healthy, the rest of our body can be healthy. They just had consequential studies on the reduction of blood pressure and the reduction. There was something else that is escaping me, but all of this is being followed up by the success of the pointer study. So that is that's the highlight reel of the study. Does anyone have any questions of what that looks like, what it means? How do we engage? How do we put it forward into our life? Anything I can answer in a few minutes before you guys continue with your regular study. Once a day recap. Okay, so once a day recap, and I can actually, let me find the infographic and I will put it in there. I do want to add that it will be challenging for any individual alone to replicate the study, right? They were under strict guidelines, but showing up in a space like this in community where you're engaged in conversation, where I like to feel my mind tingle at least once a day, right? There's plenty of space for downtime, but at one point in the day, I want to know, knowing that I'm engaged in something, knowing that something is of interest to me, and knowing that I'm getting something out of it. You know, you can feel your mind go zing, and you're like, oh, that felt good. So I want your mind to do that once a day. I would like it for it to happen with a friend, a colleague, a something. So you're being social. It's like triple points if you're doing that while you're on a walk or while you're at the gym or doing something at the gym. And then when you get home, I am a lover of all things sweet and delicious, but you know, we make a healthy choice of sticking, to a Mediterranean diet, but a Mediterranean diet is not for everybody, but having, the balanced, a large vegetable portion, a smaller carb portion, and some protein portion. I don't expect everyone in the world is going to be able to achieve this right out of the bat, let's say.
Gate.
But just starting to put that into practice every day is a healthy goal. Choosing a salad over McDonald's obviously is a better goal, better choice for us. Not just, I have no issues with McDonald's. Everyone needs a cheat food every once in a while. We all have our guilty pleasures. I'm not taking that away from you. But to just be thoughtful about, how am I going to challenge my mind today? How am I going to do something social today? Not isolating. We've had so many talks about the critical impact of isolation on our brains and on our bodies and on our mental health, right? So challenging yourself physically, challenging yourself socially, challenging yourself cognitively in community, and also choosing to eat healthy. That's a daily example of what you can put into place, and doing things, again, like participating in this group at IKAR, is a great place to start. Doing things at the Y. I'm a huge advocate right now of this organization called Ping Pong for Good. She's growing a group in Pasadena, and she meets at the Santa Monica Y, I think twice a week. It's ideally set up for people with Parkinson's and or dementia, but ping pong is a fantastic example of something that's social, something that's cognitive, something that works on your balance, something that works on your eye-hand coordination. I think many people dismiss it, but the benefits of it are tremendous. So I hope that answered the question. Does anyone else have any thoughts or questions? Yeah, but you're on mute.
And no, I'm not. My question is, would you be willing to post references to the published studies on this program, please?
Yeah, let me go find it
Thank you.
in my computer, and then I will post it in the chat.
Thank you, Bob. And yeah,
anyone
Elle,
else
if people want to follow up with you, could you
I'll
pop
put
an
my email in there as well.
Thank you.
Hold on, looking for it. It's opening. Why is it not copying?
Ah, Sherry found it.
Sherry found it. Excellent.
Thank
Fantastic.
you, Sherry.
Thank you. I don't know why it wasn't copying, but thank you. And I put all the if you want to ever take any free classes, join a support group, the helpline, participate in advocacy, talking to our legislative staff about being a caregiver or caring for someone with Alzheimer's, dementia. We're always looking for people to participate or get support 24/7. Thank you, Sherry, for sharing the link. I'd love to wish you all a Chag Sameach.
Thank
And
you.
let me put my email.
Give us your email, yeah, Elle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture the chat to my computer, so that please don't worry about everybody about taking photos of the screen or whatever. I will have captured this information. Lovely. Thank you, Marcy.
Good. I'm glad. The Side Caregiver is a fantastic class. Okay. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, need more resources, but thank you for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your session with Rabbi Silver, and Chag Sameach.
I want to say, Yael, before you go belting off to do good, for all of our caregivers in the community, I personally want to thank you for working with me on being able to surface this very challenging and very difficult subject within the IKAR community, to be able to hold it with you and with somebody with your depth of experience is just an absolute privilege. You're a treasure to the community, one of the little lights of Hanukkah, and we're
thank
so
you,
grateful.
Thank you. So many blessings. If anyone is going through this, please do not hesitate to reach out. This is it's a very challenging, long, hard disease, but we got you. I got you. We'll do it. We'll figure it out together. Okay. Have a great session, and
thank you so much.
I'll see you at IKAR.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, first of all, I hope that was helpful. I know that it all came at us very fast, but my first priority really was to ensure that we as a group know that Yael is with us in the community, and is available as a source of information around this very, very tricky subject. I am reminding us that at this point I am still recording the session. My thought for these sessions was that we would record when we are all in the room together, but obviously when we're doing journaling or we're in breakout rooms, we're not recording those pieces. And please just let me know in the chat if that is an issue for you. It's this delicate balance of being able to share the collective wisdom with folk in the community who might not be able to get to one of our sessions, and maintaining our confidentiality and our privacy as we approach the journey of aging. So before I go any further, please, I need to know from you if anybody objects to this part of the session being recorded. Okay, just checking. Speak now or forever hold your peace, like they say in my home country. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll keep the recording on for this piece while I take us a step back and set out what all of this is for. I was hired onto IKAR when it became clear to IKAR that 1 in every 4 people at IKAR on the IKAR membership roster is over the age of 55. And if you want the purpose of these sessions in a sentence, it's really from Jeremy Rosenthal, the current chair of IKAR. He was then the vice chair. And when I was talking with him about this subject on my interview, he said, okay, so what you're really saying is, how do we age better at IKAR? How do we bring the IKAR way to the subject of aging? And I thought, you know what? That is a very, very good formulation. I'm drawn to this work because partly because I'm in the demographic myself. I'm 65, so I'm just starting out. I'm Medicare now. And partly because it's uncharted territory. One of the truths of Judaism is that we're very, very good with the period after death. The truth is that we're not so fantastic with the period before. We're really good at the beginning of life. We have lots of things to ritualize and celebrate at the beginning of life. And we're pretty good at midlife as well. And then there's this kind of ritual desert right at the point where we are moving into our period of greatest wisdom. So the purpose of creating this space at IKAR is for us to be able to enter that space together and not only bring Jewish wisdom to bear, but also to bring our own wisdom to bear about this journey past the age of 55. Its challenges, its opportunities, because there are opportunities, its gifts, because there are gifts, and the fact that the earlier we begin to, in our lives, to think about this, because if we are a standard issue human being, it's going to come. We're going to age unless something dreadful happens to us. The more we can plan it, the more we can bring wisdom to bear about it, and the more we can stand with each other in engaging with both the challenges and the gifts. So once a month, we come together. This is now a session that is open to the whole of the IKAR community. It began as a closed circle. Now it's an open circle. Once a month we come together, and I will send out a prompt before the session. We elected that we would work with the words of Anne Lamott. So I sent that out on Friday, but if for any reason you didn't get that document, I've just popped it in the chat for us now. And don't worry, this is not a class with homework, okay? We are all of us far too mature for homework and the pressures of homework. But if we're able to read the piece a little bit before the class, expect, if you've signed up for the class, that there will be an email in your inbox on the Friday afternoon before the Sundays once a month that we meet. And that piece acts as a springboard, as a touchstone for a dimension of aging that we're going to be talking about. And because of Yael's availability, the subject that we are going to be addressing today is the subject of dementia. It is a big lift if you have not been to a conscious aging session before, but I hope that the way that we come together around this subject is going to give people who are new to the group an indication of how we do this work of aging in community together, and my hope is that it will be enriching and blessed and not helpful, and ultimately not intimidating. Any questions so far? All right. Then I'll invite you, please. This will be our normal start of the session directly after the music. The welcome to the session, and please pop in the chat how you like to be called, where you're coming in from, and what draws you to this session, while I explain to us that this is a session where we use the chat a lot. If you have been in Morning Minyan, then you will know that the chat is as much part of the session as what's going on in the main room. So please, everybody, have the chat open and just drop in. Bob, you asked, can I sign you up for the class? And the answer actually is no. But what you can do is calendar the classes. If you wish, just drop me an email. I'm Rabbi Silver at IKAR.org, and I will send you the adult education email. I know, Bob. I know. Bob in the window is Bob and not Nancy. Okay, Nancy Weiss, who is married to Bob. They're in separate windows. And Gary is here too. Hey, Gary, it's good to have you here with us. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Wendy. Lovely. Yes, Richard, the transition to retirement is not for sissies. Yes, it's a very, very big transition. Gail, God bless, and God bless the memory of your friends. Um, David, Rabbi David, please gently and carefully if you're multitasking, okay? We are fine with you. We are fine with you not participating. So notice, by the way, that this interest in aging is going across multiple age groups, and I love to see that. Shondal, welcome in. 80 is a milestone, as we know. Joni, welcome. Nice to have you in with us. And please keep those introductions coming as I describe the way that we do things in these classes. So we have three modalities that we use to get, we have the spindle of the Anne Lamott article, which is the subject. Today's subject is the very challenging subject of dementia. And once we've got that spindle, we work in three ways. We work together in the big room, as we're doing now, where we are getting to know each other and encounter each other and communicate with each other. Gail, that's lovely. Communicate with each other through the chat. And these parts of our session are going to be recorded and available to other IKAR members and non-member members, hello Larry, who share this interest. We also journal, so my hope is that you will have with you something that works for you to capture wisdom. There'll be time to go and get it, but maybe a piece of paper, maybe you like to take notes on computer, maybe like me, you are a fan of Post-its, which reduce you to the most important things that you want to capture. Maybe you will give yourself the gift of a notebook, a nice notebook to today transcribe, so that you're beginning to build your own source of wisdom about aging, and it will be your book and you will keep it on your desk to drop wisdom into. Maybe it's a lipstick in the bathroom mirror. I'm not, or an eye pencil. I'm not concerned, but there is wisdom in these sessions, and I invite us to capture it. So modality 1, the big room. Modality 2, the journaling, the private journaling, which is not for sharing with anybody in the room. It's our opportunity to get in touch with our own inner wisdom. Modality number 3 is breakout rooms, and these are important to me. I break us out into rooms not just for 10-minute drop-ins, but for conversations so that we do encounter each other. And there's a few reasons for this. One is it's to stimulate us to share our wisdom with each other, to encounter each other across distance sometimes, as we've seen in the chat, and to know that we're not alone in this work. But the second nefarious reason for putting people into breakout rooms is that IKAR has become very, very large. I'll spare you the whole history, but essentially when we went into COVID, we were 750 families, and now we're bubbling under 1,300. And it becomes we're very proud of that, it's very lovely, and it makes it to all of us, to all IKAR clergy, to all IKAR staff, it makes it the more important to ensure that our folks get connected and stay connected to each other, so that when we walk into the big room, if we walk into the big room, there are going to be people there that we know. And I have found that this work is one of the ways that people are beginning to recognize, to sit with, to encounter, to enjoy the company of people in the big room. And that gives me huge joy. and a sense of true purpose. So please feel free to connect, and we can talk in later sessions about how do we want to stay connected with each other? Do we want to share emails with each other? Do we want a Google sign-up sheet so that we can hang out together between sessions? I want to let that gently and organically evolve. Everybody good so far? I know that this is a long introduction, but it has become very clear to me that it's important how we set these sessions up and how together we hold the space. All good so far? Lovely. All right, so that's going to give us a nice chunk of time to encounter each other. Let me stop talking for a moment because I've been talking for a while, as is the way of rabbis, and let's just give ourselves a chance, those of you who are able to, those of you who can't, we understand, but I'm going to go quiet for a moment just so we can scrape back through the chat and read what we have had to say about each other. So a little quiet moment just for us to encounter each other. Lovely. Thank you, everyone. So before we turn to today's journaling and breakout room part of the session, I always like to offer a blessing for our learning. This is if you want the Jewish bit, but the spiritual bit as well. Aging happens in all of the dimensions of our being, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual, and often the spiritual gets kind of left to the side. I want to make sure that it's here in the room with us, so I offer always, before we dive into the session, the blessing for study, the blessing for Torah study, and I'm just going to pop that in transliteration into the chat so we can say it together. I also like to dedicate our study. There's something right in the fabric of Judaism that studying together, that learning together is a way to put goodness out into the world and reinforce the goodness that is already there. It's a mitzvah. In other words, it's a sacred obligation, and if you wish to dedicate our learning today to a person or people for a happy reason or a sad reason, let me ask you to just unmute, and I will call on you to share your dedication with the room. Just let me know. Please don't be shy. Jana, yes, please. Yeah.
I'm dedicating this to the families in Australia.
Absolutely.
The Jewish families impacted by the horrible murdering.
Yes, yes. I Thank you, Jenna. Thank you. It's right at the front of my mind as well. For those who haven't yet heard, I am sorry to report there was a mass shooting in Australia at a Hanukkah event. News about that is still unfolding. It is utterly heartbreaking. And yes, we send strength and comfort to all in the community who are suffering at this time. Amen. Any other dedications to a person or to people for a happy or a sad? Elizabeth.
I'm going to dedicate this to my husband, who's just come out of surgery and is not well, Donald Goodstein.
Elizabeth, we send you love. We send you love, and I hope that it is as gentle a healing for him as possible. I know that I think Rabbi Panitz has been in touch with him direct. Yeah, good. So the system is working. That's good. So for Donald, Bob. Yeah, Bob.
I'd like to dedicate this to my friend and neighbor, Kevin O'Neill, who died late last night after a stroke a few weeks ago.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. May his memory be a blessing. Larry?
Yes, I'd like to dedicate this to my grandmother, Edith Levin, on her 25th yahrzeit. I was very blessed. I was 49 when I lost her, so I had a grandmother for most of my adult life, and she was a major influence in my life. Thank you, Rabbi Silver.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, of course, our grandparents are models of aging that we carry with us forever. So thank you. I see Irene's hand up, and somebody was also waving in a window. Let's do Irene and then Nancy. Yeah.
I'll dedicate this to the fragility of the human body because, I survived a fender bender. IKAR did not. I sing in a chorus where we sang a lot of songs about the season, including Oseh Shalom, which was a delight, and some secular songs about peace and unity and one God. And we all sang in various states of bodily disarray. We had wheelchairs, we had wrist braces. The soloist had his burned feet wrapped in ace bandages and still sang. And, life is treacherous. And so I dedicate it to just getting through it.
Thank you, Irene. Amen. Rachel.
Hi, I want to dedicate this to the members of my pulmonary fibrosis support group. That's a lung disease. I've been through a transplant myself in the last year, and we lost 2 members in the past month, and that's always so painful. And for those of us struggling along, trying to make a life out of this strange Twilight Zone fix, rescue, whatever you want to call it, just looking to hold on to optimism while being realistic about what life holds in store.
Thank you, Rachel. Amen. Amen. And may their memories be a blessing. Richard, and Nancy and Gail. Okay, what a lot. Yes.
I'd like to dedicate this to my wife, Sari. On this coming Wednesday, we'll be celebrating 47 years of marriage.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Lovely. Lovely. So to the 2 of you. Gail?
So apropos, because I'm dedicating this to my grandmother, Lillian Krohn-Menkes, whose yahrzeit and birthday were both this week. And my grandparents were married, as my parents were. My grandparents were married for 70 years. And at the 70th anniversary party, I asked her, Grandma, what's the secret? 70 years is a long time to be married. And she said, well, honey, the first 50 are kind of rough, but after that, it gets easier.
Thank you. Thank you. And Nancy, the actual Nancy, not the Dr. Bob Nancy. You'll need to unmute, Nancy. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to add on to what Bob said. Um, our neighbor, Dorothy Clark, did everything any human could possibly do to care for her husband who passed this morning. And I really just want to name her out loud.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much. So with all of our dedications, as you come to know me, those of you who don't, you will find out that I am not the world's greatest multitasker. So the blessing for Torah study is the same as any other blessing for a mitzvah. So like the blessing over the Shabbat candles or the Hanukkah candles that we're going to light tonight, except we swap out the last words. And the words for Torah study are la'asok b'divrei Torah. They're in the chat, so please join me in your spaces. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen. Amen. And may our wisdom bring some extra light to us and to our community and to the world. And we say amen. Okay. My hope is that most of us in the room were able to read the Anne Lamott piece. If you haven't been able to read it yet, don't panic. Let me give you a quick summary. It's a post that she wrote on her birthday, 10th of April, 2023, and she is talking about the way that she is engaging with her various infirmities and also with the way that she is engaging with the fact that her mother died of Alzheimer's and her father died of brain cancer. And I'm just going to read one little piece of the article to springboard us, which brings us to the mind. Sigh. My mother died of Alzheimer's and my father of brain cancer, so what I used to call 10 years ago my little senior moments are not quite as charming as they might be. Now at 50-19, they can be scary. My main exercise is trying to find things, the phone, the keys, the car in big parking lots. A friend finally scared himself to death with the increased spaced outness and got the complete 2-day neurological workup. At the end, the neurologist assured him he simply had age-appropriate cognitive decline, and added something that has saved me. It's not a problem if you can never find your keys or glasses, but it becomes one if, when you find them, you can't remember what they're for. So she goes on. It's an upbeat article about a very difficult subject. And this is what I want to use as our point of entry for today's session. If we postulate that Yael was telling us this morning about the body side of dementia, about how we can approach it physically, and the changes that it seems to be showing now, that there is, it's not as out of our control, this condition, as we originally thought it was, that there are ways that we can live, that there are changes that we can make, that can give us a degree of agency over this condition. What I would like us to explore for the rest of the session is how we can do that work, not with our body, what we're putting into our body, where we're taking our body, putting us into, just reminding us, putting ourselves into company with each other is important. Being out of breath once a day is important. Having our mind tingle once a day is important. Yes, these physical pointers I want us to see if we can challenge ourselves to shift the needle just ever such a tiny amount in the way that we think about, the way that we feel about, the way that we hold this terrifically challenging subject of dementia. So I'm going to ask you to grab a piece of paper or equivalent, put a line down the middle of it, and the word dementia at the top. Okay, now let me be very clear. I am not asking us here to make a list of this is a crappy thing about dementia, so I will put a sunny unicorns and rainbows thought about dementia on the other side of the page. You know, and I know, it doesn't work like that. This is an exercise where I am inviting us to explore our preconceptions, what comes to our mind when we see that word dementia, and to ask ourselves, is that all there is that I want to be holding about this subject? Okay, so your first task is going to be, and it's going to be quick, please, in the left-hand column. When I say the word dementia, what are your first three associations? And I'm going to give you about a minute, so we're going to be quick. You've had about 30 seconds of your minute. And pens down, please. If you only have two, it's not a problem. This is not an exam. If you only have one, it's not a problem. This is not an exam. And if you still have in front of you a blank sheet of paper because just thinking about dementia is too overwhelming, that is okay. This is not an exam. All right. Please look at the chat and take one. Just drop one association in the chat. If I had a whiteboard, we'd be making a word cloud at this point. I just want to know what's in the room when we say the word dementia. Lovely. Please keep them coming. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 Thank you. Thank you, and please keep them coming. And notice, please, how diverse they are. Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a lot of fear. We've got a lot of loss of control, loss of agency. We also have this little thread of freedom running through it. This little thread of a kind of what if, and the fear and the idea of getting locked in, the idea of isolation, seems to be coming up very strongly with us. And sadly, we no longer have Yael in the room because she's doing other holy work. But those are very much what I would have expected as we engage with this difficult and painful but inexorable subject. As I said, this first session is a heavy lift. I feel again that I want to say to people who are here for the very first time today, we don't lift this heavy in every single one of these sessions. At the same time, this is real. This is real. It is happening in our community just as it is happening in every other community. It won't go away. And I am wondering if we can challenge ourselves collectively to begin to chip away at the stigma of dementia, because right now it really is. So here's what I'm going to invite us to do. I'm going to give us 10 minutes of journaling time, which is not very much, but it's going to lead into breakout sessions. In fact, it might even be only 5. And I am going to invite us to ask ourselves at the end of this exercise whether there is anything about what we each wrote down that we can hold differently. And I'm going to offer us some wisdom from 3 sources. One of them is the Book of Ecclesiastes, one of them is Shakespeare, and one of them is the thinker Arthur Brooks. And all of them are talking about the same idea, which is that it matters how we think about things. So these are a few slides from my Finding Happiness course from last year. Hamlet says, famously, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. In other words, it matters the way we think about difficult things. This one is Brooks, managing our thinking. We can't avoid negative feelings, but we can understand and learn from them. My guess, by the way, is that I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. When we get to a certain stage in life, we know this innately, even if we can't put words on it. I'm just inviting us to surface it so that we can address it to this subject. And then, third slide, and there are only 3. Arthur Brooks' word for this is metacognition. That when we can't change something, we do still have the power to change how we experience it. In other words, it's not an act of denial to reframe our thinking. It's not saying, dementia and I just won't, or dementia, I'm going to think about clouds and unicorns instead. It's saying to ourselves, dementia exists. I have the agency to expand and question how I think about it. And the way that I think about it is going to matter in terms of the way that I deal with it and the way that I think about and the way that I experience it around me, that I experience it in others. And this, let me bring in Kohelet, the Jewish source, the Book of Ecclesiastes. This ability to stand back from a subject is what Kohelet calls chokhmah, which is translated as wisdom. Kohelet is the book of chokhmah. That word only occurs 33 times in Torah, where it means things as well as wisdom. It means art and craft. But 53 times in this end-of-life book that also underscores it matters how we consider things, and the act of considering itself is an act of wisdom. So in a moment, I'm going to invite us to journal, to question ourselves just one thing that we wrote down, questioning ourselves, is there a way I could hold this differently? If it's a feeling, is there a way I could hold this feeling differently? If it's a criticism of ourselves, is there a way I could be more compassionate? Is there a way I could be more curious? Is there a way I could explore more deeply? These are wisdom questions. These are metacognition questions. So once again, I know I talk a lot in these sessions. I'm aware of that. I want to give us some gracious silence to just journal for 5 minutes. Take just one of the things that you wrote down and ask yourself, can I hold this a little differently? Can I hold this a little differently? 5 minutes. Just a minute more. Okay. And please finish the sentence that you're writing. I am inviting us into breakout rooms for 20 minutes. We are wise people on this call, so we're wise people on this call, so I don't want to set too many rules for these breakout rooms. Safe to say, please introduce yourselves and share a little bit of what you've been writing in both the left-hand column and the right-hand column on your paper. And we will see each other back here in 20 minutes' time with the aim of compiling our wisdom as to how we might be able to move that needle on this very difficult subject, just one click together. Okay? So please go ahead, introduce yourselves first, and I will see everyone back here in 20 minutes. Did something shift with this difficult subject of asking ourselves, can I hold this differently? You can answer in chat or you can answer in the Lovely, thank you. Did anything shift in the holding of this hard subject?
I think in our group, nothing shifted.
Well, partly it's because I was yakking over you. I think we have to allow for that. But tell me more, Shandal.
I think that we have all experienced seeing and seeing what happens in real time, and it's frightening. And I just think we couldn't find anything really good about being slowly taken away.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm speaking incorrectly, and maybe Richard and Lydia feel differently, but I believe that's even with your conversation.
Yeah. You're kind. Thank you. And I think you've touched on something that is at the very heart of this, which is that so often when we think dementia, we imagine, we jump to what the process will be like if it were us. We experience, I've lost two parents, both parents to vascular dementia, and we see what they go through, and what if it's me? What if this happens to me? I guess my proposition is, can we begin, if it's going to happen to us and we have no control over that, how am I going to think, feel, understand if I get a diagnosis? Yeah? Can I change the way that I think, feel, understand if I get a diagnosis? So it's not an exercise in saying this is an incredibly big, scary thing, but I'm going to say it's good. Yeah, it's not, we're not Pollyanna about it. And I think that's an important distinction to make in wisdom work. It's, can I hold this more gently? That's more, I think, the work. Does that make sense? And it's a question. And it's a question. Thank you for sharing so honestly. So honestly. And it's difficult. Yeah, nothing about aging, I think, is simple. we do it together. We tackle it together. Thank you. Rachel and Jane, and then I think I have to let you go.
I would say something shifted a little bit in our group in the sense that we talked a bit about the idea of doom casting and how you can imagine the worst scenario if you see a sign of a cognitive decline in yourself or in your loved one, and that's not necessarily the scenario that's going to play out, even if there is a diagnosis. But certainly if there isn't, and that's sort of staying in the moment and trying to find ways to appreciate or mark the good moments now is a sort of an antidote to this, this idea of projecting the worst possible scenario. We also talked a little bit about one member of our little 3-person group had positive memories of people with dementia because she had a very joyful, happy grandmother with dementia. So like, that's not something you hear every day, but it is possible. And I was thinking also about my own mother who died after 15 years of dementia, and who was never happier than when she slipped into that place of not knowing, of imagining and not knowing where she wasn't replaying her old tropes and her old wounds. And it was just a kind of a fairy tale world. And I don't know, that's not all bad. So it felt like just a small shift in the way of thinking about it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Rachel. And I'm glad you're with us. I really am. And I'm glad you're continuing to recover. It's nice to put a face to you. Rachel and I have only ever spoken by phone before, so it's lovely to put a face to you. Jane, we're going to give you the last word for the room.
Okay. First of all, Rachel, both of your contributions today have been wonderful, so welcome. And I don't know if mine shifted because my list of the goods and bads, or however you want to put it, was pretty equal. I had, the attribute of having dementia. The way I envisioned it was finally you can have peace within, in our chaotic society. Maybe that's a relief, and it just maybe it'll just cut out the noise of all the crazy politics and all the other BS that one has to deal with. But what I did want to just kind of mention is the connection I had with Yael, because, I was in her caregiving session for several years as my mother was aging. And I'm telling you, it's really such a good group. Mostly people, I would say in their 40s, I think. So the younger, they're dealing with a parent. But there are spouses of those with dementia as well. And God love them, what they're putting up with. But also God love these adult kids, this sandwich generation who are dealing with their own kids and their parents. And it's really quite amazing as it unfolds and compounds week after week, month after month. But then the big question for me as I look around the room here is, and the room was a lot bigger when we started out, when I started having this question, is how many of us can safely say or trust that we have people in our lives that will care for us should something, God forbid, happen like that. And if not, then there goes your savings, because you're going to be paying a lot of money in caregiving.
So thank you, Jane. So I don't know if people have yet seen, I gave a sermon on aging a few weeks ago. It's Parashat Chaye Sarah. And one of the things that I said was that in order to age better, you can't just move one little piece of society. You can't just move one little piece of the pattern. You have to move all of the pieces. And that healthcare cost piece is one of the pieces that is going to have to move, and we're going to have to be nimble in thinking about how do we tackle that. It's a subject for another session for sure. But yes, thank you. I have to let you go. I don't want to let you go, but I have to let you go. We're already getting on for being 10 minutes over. Let me share, first of all, let me thank you for being here, and thank you for your courage. Aging takes courage, yes, and we jumped right in at the deep end this week. These sessions are going to continue once a month. I will circulate a different piece from Anne Lamott next time, and it will be different because it'll be a different spindle, a different subject for the session, and we probably won't have a speaker next time as well. I hope that I'll be able to welcome you back. And if you have any final comments, please just pop them in the chat now. And then I'm going to ask everybody, I always do this at the end of every Zoom, I ask everybody to unmute so that we can say goodbye to each other and hear each other's voices and remind ourselves that we do have a voice and we can speak. Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Bye-bye.
Nice to
God
meet you.
bless.
Yeah, happy.
God bless.
Likewise.
Bye.
Be well,
Oh,
everyone.
happy Hanukkah.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Happy Hanukkah.
Purim Sameach.
Happy Hanukkah. God bless.
Bless you.
And Lois, the recording is going to be available. I think it will go up on our YouTube. I have to talk to the comms people, but it will be there. Give us a little moment to turn it around, but it will be there. Take care, everybody. God bless. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.